By the end of this video, you will build your very own first RAG AI agent without writing a single line of code. Before we dive into the workflow, let's unpack what Retrieval Augmented Generation actually means. Think of it as a three-step dance. Retrieval finds relevant facts from your own data, augmentation combines that information with your question, and generation produces a clear answer. For example, imagine you ask your assistant, what is company X mission statement? A generic model might guess. RAG agent, however, search your actual documentation to retrieve the mission statement, augments it with your question, and then generate a precise answer. The document we will upload for any company that we are working with. In this case, we are working with rules of Polo. The secret sauce behind RAG agent is a special kind of database. Instead of rows and columns, it's a multi-dimensional space of dots called vector, where similar ideas cluster together. Over here you see points about fruit, and over there you see the points about animal. If we search for kitten, our query lands near cats and dogs because the concepts are similar. This is how the system finds the most relative information. In order to set a vector database for our AI agent, we need to set two different things. Number one, RAG pipeline, get data into vector databases. Number two, RAG agent to talk to the vector database. We will build all of that in n8n automation system. To populate that space, we need a pipeline. First, we chunk our documentation into digestible passages, aka one of the dots on the graph. Next, we embed each chunk using an embedding model, turning text into numbers. Finally, we vectorize by storing those numbers in the vector database. Once your knowledge is in this form, it is searchable by meaning rather than keywords. In our build, we will automate this process. Whenever a new file appears in Google Drive, a workflow will download it, break it up with a data loader, convert each chunk into an embedding, and upload everything to our vector store, Supabase. That's how we make your data ready for retrieval. On this slide, you will see your RAG agent come to life. When a user submits a query, here, what is the company's X mission statement? The agent first embeds that question as a vector. It then searches your vector database for the most relevant passage, those closest to the company's X mission statement. The retrieved text is combined with the original questions and fed into a language model. The result is a response grounded in your own documents, so your agent can deliver accurate, context-rich answer instead of a guesswork. On the other side, we'll set up the RAG agent workflow. When a chat message comes in, n8n routes it through the chat model while consulting two sources: a short-term memory stored in PostgreSQL to keep the conversation coherent, and the Supabase vector store to retrieve relevant passage. The result is a response that remembers the conversation and cites your documentation accurately. In this particular case, we will vectorize a document for the game of Polo. That's the loop. Your words goes into database as vectors, and relevant vectors come back out to inform the model. Vectorization isn't just a buzzword. It is how we give our AI a working memory. There are several options for vector databases: Pinecone, Quadrat, Supabase, and more. For this tutorial, we're using Supabase because it's integrated nicely with n8n and Postgres. But the principle we cover apply to any vector store. Remember, the vector store holds facts. It is your knowledge base. Postgres, on the other hand, holds short-term memory, like recent messages or conversation history. A great RAG system needs both a deep wall of knowledge and a working memory for the conversation. Stick around, and by the end of this video, you will have a working RAG agent powered by your own document, all built without writing a single line of code. We will start with an n8n agent. So without any further ado, let's jump in. Alright, now let's jump into the build. You can see my n8n screen here. we'll go to Supabase, we'll create a new project, we'll call it, let's call it RAG. We have to enter a password. Remember, you have to write this password down somewhere. You're going to need it later. I wrote mine here. Leave everything else as it is. Create a new project. This will take a while. This was pretty fast. Here we can see everything is healthy. Database is healthy. Postgres REST is healthy. Everything is good. Storage is healthy. So all seem okay. Now we jump back into n8n. We go to Google Drive. Here we come down here. Click on the download file. I already built my credentials for Google. If you don't know it, I'll upload a video after this one to show you how to do it. But I'm assuming that you already know this stage. Files, download. I'm looking for a rules for Polo. Let's hope you find it. Yes. Click on execute. Well, all is good. It's a binary file. The rules of Polo, frequently asked questions, and you can see it automatically adds the trigger to it. Next step would be, let's add Supabase to vectorize this. Supabase vector store. Here I would say add document. Now we have to create our credentials for that. In order to do that, let's jump into Supabase. Project setting. We come here for a data API. We copy the project URL. We post it back into the host here. Pretty simple stuff. Now, the second thing we need is service role secret. In order to get that, we go to API keys. You can see service role secret, reveal, copy, come back to n8n, post it here, save. And you hope it's going to be green, which it is. That means everything is pretty good. I'd like to name here just a good practice, so we can remember. It could be a date, it could be an email, it could be a name. I'll just call it RAG for the sake of simplicity. Okay, now we can close it. Now you can see the table here. It's empty. So in order to fix this, we need to go back to Supabase. On the left side, we say SQL editor. That's where we're going to post it. But in order to get that, we go to documents. We scroll down. Quick start for setting up your vector store. Now this might seem a bit complicated, but it's actually not. So SQL, this SQL, we just copy it. Come back to Supabase. As you can see on the left-hand side, SQL editor. And we just paste it here. We give it a moment and run. No row returns. The vector is already here. It's in private. Now, if you want to create something different or already have this thing, then just remove the create extension and change the name of the document, and it should work fine. We have it right here. Run selected. Again, everything is good as it should be. Go back to n8n, and if we press refresh, it should be here. All is good. Embedding batch size, we leave it at 200. We have to do two more things in order to make this work. We have to chunk the file and we have to embed it. So in order to chunk it, I'll use a default data loader here. We have to make sure that our file is in binary. This is in JSON, so we switch it to binary. Everything else, we leave it as it is. Every 1,000 characters with a 200 split overlap, that's fine. We haven't done any changes to it, so I think it's pretty straightforward. We leave it as it is. We have our chunking, and then we have to add embedding. For that, we use OpenAI. I already have an account for OpenAI. If you don't, come to this link, platform.openai.api/API-keys. Now remember, this is different than your normal OpenAI account. So what you have to do is to create your, on the left-hand side, API keys, create new secret. Could just call it anything. RAG test polo. Create the keys. Now remember, I will close this one, so it would be irrelevant, but do not share this and always store it somewhere because you can always use it at once and that's it. You come back here. If you want to create a new one, you post your API here. Say you want to create a new one. And that's it. It's all good. Account. You have to put some money in your OpenAI account. It's really cheap. If you add 10, 20 bucks, it will go a long way than you think. You can just add your detail right here in the billing side. Now this is done. And if you completely remove this embedding, let's try to execute the workflow. So, file was downloaded, sent to the vector, and then there is an error. Public match document contains embedding meta and scheme. We'll find out what are the errors here. Use these logs to see the information also did not complete the process. Could not find the functioning public match document embedding meta and scheme sketch. Okay, so it needs to come back to documents. Okay, so this works. So far, this works very well. So you can see right here that, so we'll click on execute the workflow. You can see as shown in the document, it's chunking, embedding, and it gives us a total of 40 vectors. A total of 40 vectors. Now, in order to see that, and this whole document, 17 pages, were chunked into 40 different vectors. You can see that here from this on the right side, table editor. This should be exactly 40. If you click on it, you can see each of them is a different vector. And that's the number for embedding, and that's the metadata. As shown in the document, this is a RAG pipeline. Now let's build an agent for it so we can communicate to it. Right, we have make the RAG pipeline. Now let's make an agent that can talk to them, to the pipeline. So in order to build an agent that we can chat with, we need to go first here, click on an AI agent, which is not that difficult. AI agent, just a simple AI agent. There you go. We don't need to add anything here. Another thing would be a chat trigger. I'd like to do that. All right, simple and perfect. Okay, so then what we would like to do here is add a chat model. So we can give it a brain. So we use OpenAI. Since we already have built the credentials, all is good. GPT 4.1 mini looks pretty good to me. GPT 4.5 mini, that will do the job just fine. We'll connect that. Now we have to give it a tool. We'll give it a Supabase vector store here. For a prompt, we will write call this tool to look up the rules of polo. And then from tables, we can select documents. The length of the chat would be 4. I think we can leave it the way it is. At the moment, it looks pretty good. So now we have to connect an embedding model. We can make a separate one, but here we already have an embedding model, so we can just connect it right here to this one. And let's see how good it functions. Everything sounds pretty good. Here we can try to start some chat. Hi. My name is Rahil. How can I assist you? Just like a normal AI chatbot, let's just ask a question about a practice session. Now, it could be anything from these things, right? The document we have uploaded. We go back to n8n and we ask. It is checking all the boxes, hitting the agent. It hit it twice. Check for the embedding. The official rules of Polo focus on the safety of the players and ponies. So this is exactly what we get on the document. So all is good. But here we have another problem. We have to ask one thing. If it has a memory, because we haven't attached a memory, right? So if I could ask, do you remember my name? So it's basically, it doesn't have a memory, so it doesn't record anything. So in order to solve that issue, we just have to give it a memory. You can give it a simple memory, but we're doing it a Postgres chat memory. I've already made the account, but I will go through it again just for the sake of making it more reasonable, just for the sake of more clarity. Okay, so in order to do that, we need to go to connect. We need to go to the project that we are working on in Supabase. Click on connect, scroll down here. Now remember, we talk about the password, that you need to remember that. If you're following along so far, just post this in the host, leave the database it is. When it is in user, close that one. For user, we just copy this simply, paste it back here. Password, the same that we give when we were creating the project. Scroll down, put the port in here. And let's hope it turns green, which it did. So all is good here. So for Postgres, we give him a context window of 5. That means it will remember only 5 chats that you do with it. And that's just to save the cost. You could give it 40, 50, it doesn't matter, but it will cost that much more. So let's try again. See if it works well, everything. Supabase is good, same 40 vectors, all is well, everything is functional. My name is Rahil. Ask me, what can I assist you? I'll probably ask him the same question. Same. Now let's just go back to the document. The duration and time of the play. Say it's like last 7 minutes of the play time. Warning horn sound at the 7-minute mark. So let's see if it can give us that data. So it gives us all the things pretty well here. Rahil, based on the official rules document, I access the details. Official Polo rules mainly focus on the safety, fair play, equipment, and field specifications rather than practice activities. Specifically for Polo practice, generally you are allowed to hone your riding skills on the pony to maintain control and speed, yada, yada, yada. All that right there. Let's just ask another question. Duration and time of the playtime. So it will go back into the document that we have uploaded, and it will tell us that polo match is divided into periods called shukas. I have no idea. There is a 5-minute halftime interval after the third or fourth shuka. During this time, ponies are cared for, played, hydrate, and teams can discuss strategy. So here it says 7 minutes. So I would say that's a mistake. Okay, that's a half interval they're talking about. So here it is. The half-time interval after the third and the fourth shall be 5 minutes to allow for minor pony care, hydration, team, exactly what we have in the rules here. We can ask. Now we can just ask also about, do you remember who am I? Do you? Yes, you told me your name is Rahil. How can I assist you further? So I think it has the memory. And just to check this, we can come here. In Supabase, aside on the table, we have the document, which is our original document. And of course, it's keep going more and more because we keep recalling it. But if you go to the chat history, everything is pretty clear what we have said here. Furthermore, if we go down to the agent here, you can check these in the logs here. The humans input. Humans, yes. AI, the retrieval document section do not contain specific detail on the practices and all that stuff. It mentioned everything in the Postgres memory. You can see what the chat history says and the Postgres chat memory. All of it is right here. Just to add one more thing again, the 5 context window, it could be anything you want. So just to put it in perspective, we can always come here, right click, and tidy up the workflow. And congratulations, we built our first AI RAG agent. And I also learned this from other online courses and YouTube and content. Some of the people that I follow to take inspiration is Nad here. We have to give credit where credit is due, but that's just my way of learning things where I can just learn and make a video on it and sometimes similar. But the system bases are pretty much the same. So the next video I'll make about how to do the Google authentications for it. And then we'll make something with the new Claude 4.5. I'm looking forward to that. Till then, thank you for staying. Like, subscribe, and share. And hopefully we'll build a community soon. That's all I have. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.